Hello, listeners. This is Charles Scott Sr., and here we are again this beautiful day, and I'm here with Charles Scott Jr.
How you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode of Can We Talk? And as you know, we tune in every Monday, or if you want to, go on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Just type in Tri-State Realty, Can We Talk? Over 55 episodes right there for you to learn and be educated with.
And today we're going to talk about various subjects. As we said, you know, this program is sort of community-based. We talk about some of the things that are happening not only locally, but also nationally, and things of interest to the audience out there that have pertained to real estate.
Yes.
So today we want to talk a little bit about credit. We want to talk a little bit about money to help you buy a house, and if you're in foreclosure, or if you're having problems with your house, some ways in which we can give you some tips that maybe might help you. We're not lawyers, but we can give you some tips that can possibly help you to alleviate the stress of how you pay for your house, some of the things you can do to avoid foreclosure.
I was going to say, we're not financial advisors, but give us a call, that number at the bottom. We can point you in the right direction of some professionals that have more, I would say, more expertise than us. But we see this every day, so that's why we try to help as many people as we can.
We're going into our 39th year of real estate, and I'm a broker. My son is also a broker. And what that means basically is that we are the owners of the company, Tri-State Realty. We're located in different cities, and we've taken certain courses and certain designations that will allow us to be able to give you advice on some of the things that you may incur in your real estate in your daily life.
And also I was going to point out that, it is the spring market. So this is actually, I would say, the Super Bowl of real estate. This is where the market starts getting up from the winter. I'll say the winter lull to the spring. I'll say the stampede of New Yorkers, other people coming in. Yeah,
this is I guess you'd call this a spring informational session.
Yes.
Spring is sprung.
Now, for those that say, oh, spring's here, it's too late, I'll wait till next year. No, there's still time, give us a call, get your credit ready. We'll point you in the right direction, maybe a loan officer, and we'll go from there.
And speaking of credit, that's a perfect time to segue into one of the things we wanted to talk about today. This is the time of the year where a lot of people are coming to a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
Tax returns are out there, money's coming in, the holidays are over with, Thanksgiving's over with, the Christmas is over with, New Year's is over with, everybody's settled down, got their jobs, starting to make money, and one of your resolutions should be to pay off your bills and save some money.
Yeah, there we go.
That should be, so we want to poke you and just say, hey, are you still on track with your New Year's resolution? Because everybody out there is saying, I want a different life and I want to change things going into 2024.
Yeah, like I said in previous episodes, around this time of the year, you'll see a lot of advertisements, whether it be furniture companies or car companies, just saying, hey, use that tax return to put a down payment.
Everybody's out to get your money.
Yeah, everyone's trying to get that down payment from your tax returns.
Everybody's out there trying to get your money, to get you to spend money, and we're trying to get you to save money. Look at that. We're telling you just the opposite. Don't spend, save, pay off the bills, because next year you'll be right back in the same spot, only you'll be deeper in debt.
Yeah, very true.
So where does it stop? Every year you say, every year I make that resolutions. Every year I'm going to change. Well, I'll make this the year to change, and I'll give you some reasons why. First of all, we still have inflation. Rents are still going up, so leveling off a little bit, the price of homes is still a little bit stable. So there's a lot of incentives for you right now to start doing things, because as you notice, if you had, let's say, made that resolution 5 years ago, you'd be way ahead of the game. But now there's still time. You just can't wait forever.
Yes, I was also going to say this year is a little bit unique, especially for our Connecticut residents, because we have a program called Time to Own right now that may not be here next year. So definitely give us a call. We'll explain more about that later in the episode.
Like I said, we want to talk a little bit about credit. So here's what's going to happen. You are spending money, or you're borrowing money, and all of that's going on your credit report. And first of all, one of the New Year's resolutions I always tell everybody is they should get a copy of the credit report. You're allowed to get one free credit report every year from annualcreditreport.com.
Yes.
And you can go to the website. It's annualcreditreport.com.
Now remember, that's not a credit score. That's your report. That tells you what's on your credit profile.
you can pay a little bit more and get the actual score, a FICO score. That's the one you want to get. Not all the other ones. There's all sorts of models and this score and that score. FICO score is the main one. That's the granddaddy of them all. You want to get that FICO score.
And also, I was going to say, it's good to get an annual credit report and review it, just because you never know. You might have some debts on there that don't belong to you. Remember, you may not have a unique name. There may be another John Smith out there, and they put on your report by mistake.
So now's the time to start getting your credit report in order. We're going to give you some tips on some of the things that you should do to improve that credit score. First of all, if you're coming into some money right now and you've got various, let's say, bills out there, do not pay off the credit card and close the account.
Oh, no.
That's the last thing you want to do. You might be thinking, well, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I can pay off these bills and close that account. If you close the account, you're really hurting your score.
Yes.
One of the things that the credit bureau does is they look to see how long have you had a credit source. In other words, if you had Capital One, and you had Capital One, let's say, for 5 years, and now you pay it off and you close that account, and let's say you have another credit card, say it's Credit One, and you've only had it for, let's say, 6 months. Now, by closing the Capital One account, one of the things that they use for your score is how long have you been using credit. So
credit history.
Yeah, the credit history. So Capital One, you've been doing it for 5 years. So they look at 5 years. Oh, okay, this person's been up and down, paying, charging, paying, charging 5 years straight. And look at this, they're doing pretty good.
Exactly.
So you close the account. Now they no longer see that. It's a closed account. They don't consider that because you're not paying on it anymore. They're only going to go back to the one that you've only had for a year or two.
You got to go to the active ones, and they'll see, now that you have the credit one for just 5 months, you kind of lost your, I'll say, your credit seniority. You had 5 years worth of credit experience. To them now, you only have 5 months.
Seniority, that's a good idea. That's a good point right there. It's almost like working in a company.
Oh, yes.
You've been working in the company and you've been there for 5 years, and the new guy, he's only been there like 4 months, and they got to lay some people off. So they're saying, well, this guy got 5 years seniority.
Exactly.
So he's pretty good. He shows up to work every day. He goes home every day. He's a good worker. The other guy's been here a couple of months, so we want to keep the guy that we know we can depend on.
Exactly. So they'll give the pre-approval to that versus, the other person.
So when you got credit, even if you pay off the accounts, do not cancel the accounts, because you could say, I've had it for 5 years and I've been doing pretty good, even if it's got a zero balance. And every now and then use the account. Remember, credit is something that they look at as how are you utilizing it? Are you taking care of it? Are you charging and paying off? So even if it's paid off, still use the account.
I was going to say also, if it's paid off, make sure, even though you're not using that card, check the statement or go online and log in, because remember, a lot of these credit cards have annual fees. So if you have a $40 fee, you may log on and finally you have a $40 balance. And then if you don't pay that $40 balance, now you have a ding on your credit.
We had a lady just this past year that happened too. Her credit score got hit with 50 points, and she was arguing with the credit company as to why she got when she didn't have a balance. Well, she didn't have a balance. That was right. But they had billed her for an annual fee. In other words, even if you don't use the card or whatnot, in that particular case, you still had to. She had to pay $50 a year in order to keep the card. So she got the bill for $50, just like she would any other statement, and she ignored it because she said, "Hey, I got a zero balance." But by doing that, now they said, "Well, you got a bill. You didn't pay it." And she said, no. Well, that is still a bill. You owe it to the credit card company. You didn't charge anything, but you owe that to the credit card company, and they put that on your card.
When you sign up for that card, you'll see in the fine print, you agreed to pay that annual fee. Just, it may have been back when you were using the card, you didn't realize it going up by $50, that annual rate.
And also, what's confusing is some cards do not have an annual fee.
Oh, yeah, some don't.
Not all of them. So in that particular case, that one did. So she threw her off because she's figuring, well, hey, nobody else is charging me an annual fee. But remember, it depends on how you started out. And what happens a lot of times, if your credit is not all that great, They may give you a card and charge you an annual fee so that they can make some money.
Exactly.
If your credit is great, and then they may give you a card and they may not even charge you an annual fee because you're such a great customer. So it's not the same for all the cards, and you got to keep on top of it. So in her case there, she had to argue back and forth with them to try and restore her credit score by explaining that she was not aware that she had to pay the annual fee.
Exactly.
So always make sure you do not cancel out those different cards. Another thing they say is that if you've got a lot of different cards, they all have different interest rates. Sometimes it might be good to pay down the ones with the highest interest rates.
Oh, yeah.
In some cases, you even have cards that will give you money to pay off another card.
Oh, yeah. I've seen those also.
And they give you an introductory rate where maybe for the first 6 months, they don't charge you any interest, 0 interest, as long as you use that card to pay off the other cards.
Exactly.
So there's different ways and different
Kind of like
things.
refinancing your debt to a lower interest rate.
Exactly. So this is some of the things that you can do, but you want to try and build your credit up now versus going out and create. Don't go out buying furniture. Just can't wait to get that check. Oh, they want me to trade in the car. They want me to get a new car. Oh, I need a newer car to get to work. You know, we've heard it all. You don't need a new car to get to work.
And be careful of some places that may sell you a product that say no payments for the first 18 months. Remember, even though you're not, or no interest payments for the first 18 months, just remember it's still going to be on your credit. Just because you're not paying on that item for the first 18 months, you're still going to have it on your credit report when you try to get a mortgage.
And we'll tell you a couple of little tricks that they do. The furniture store. Okay, so let's say the furniture costs $1,000. So it's $1,000. So what they do is they'll mark the furniture up to $1,200. So now they'll mark the furniture up to $1,200, and they'll say for the first 6 months, no payments. So you pay $1,200. The first 6 months, you don't make any payments. But they made an extra $200 on you and selling you the furniture, so you might as well. They're still making just as much or more money because the extra $200 is paying them those 6 months that you didn't have to pay in the first place.
Sounds like a good deal on paper, doesn't it?
If it's too good to be true, it's not true.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
Isn't that what they say? So these are some of the things that, you know, and it's marketing. You know, these people do what they do because this is what they do to sell items. But you also do not have to follow a path to what they're doing. You got to figure out what's best in it for you.
Exactly. And also people get scared with these credit scores. You don't need a perfect 800 score or 750 score to get into real estate. I would say a lot of people come to us, they start in the 5s, work them up to the 600s, and a lot of people, there's a lot of programs out here to help people with credit scores like that.
First thing I want to say, though, is you want to try and improve your credit score. But for some people, they may not have a high credit score because they really never charged anything. That doesn't mean that they're a bad risk. It's just that the computer, when they look at your payment history, they don't know whether you're good or bad because they have nothing to go by. That's why, again, that history is good because they can look back at the history. So some companies have different banks. They have different ways of loaning you money. You have some state programs, CHAFA, some programs that they don't use credit scores. In other words, they say they're not credit score driven. What that means is that they may look at other ways of giving you money. They realize that maybe you pay cash for everything. Maybe you got good savings, and you never really, had use of a card. So they look at that and they'll say, okay, well, let's look at alternate ways of credit. Do you have a credit? Do you have a cell phone bill? Do you have a light bill?
Utilities, I was going to say.
Utilities. What other account? Insurance, car insurance. They'll look and say, okay, you paid your car insurance statement on time. You paid your cell phone bill on time. You paid your light bill on time. You paid your rent on time. So they can look at these different things. So your score may be 580, but it's 580 because you didn't get any credit cards because you said, I don't want the credit cards. I got plenty of savings in my bank. So they look at all of these different things, your savings and how you paid all these other items, and they can still get you a mortgage. So that's a way of also looking at it. Now, normally people ask me, like, what score are they looking for? They usually have a starting point of around 620.
620, I was going to say.
620 is what they usually look at if you have credit cards and you have other debt. Now, 620, some may be now for conventional or some other type of mortgage programs, they may go 640. So usually it's between 620, 640. You don't, like my son said, you don't have to have an 800 credit score to get a mortgage. You don't have to have 800. You could have, like I said, as low as 620.
And also I wanted to mention how my father just said that these companies do have programs to help people with their credit. But remember, what I say is if you're working with a big bank, one of these national chains, why not check local with your credit union, a loan officer? Because remember, I'll say the smaller the institution, the more they can not bend the rules or make their own rules. We're rather a big corporation as throughout the United States.
Some banks may even loan the money from their own portfolio.
Oh, yes.
So that means that they take in savings. A lot of people think that's how it really works, but that's not really how it works. A lot of people think that you go to the bank and they loan you their money.
Nope.
But that's not how it works. They're loaning you money, but then the minute they give you that's money they borrowed. They borrowed the money to loan it to you. Now, when you get a loan with them, they take your loan and sell it to someone else so they can get more money in to loan to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
They don't take and give out all the money that they have in the savings accounts. So that what happens is they keep turning and revolving that money over.
Exactly.
That's why when they charge you an interest rate, the interest rate they charge you is based on how much money it costs for them to borrow the money to give to you.
Exactly. People think they're going back in the vault and getting the wheelbarrow
Pile of money and coming
No,
out.
they're borrowing this money from the government to loan to you. So they have to make sure it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars for them.
You'll hear these different terms. FHA, that's terms where the money they loan you, they get insurance. Like I had a closing earlier today, and the attorney was explaining to the buyers that you have what they call the PMI, private mortgage insurance. And he said the insurance is not to cover you, it's to cover the bank.
Exactly.
So that's an insurance policy that you pay for that does not cover you. You're paying for that policy to pay for the bank to have the how can I say, the less stress of knowing that if you don't pay them back, they can cash that insurance policy in to get back the money that they lose because they loaned you the money.
Exactly. That's more of a security net for them. They're saying, okay, you have the house. If you don't pay, we get the house back, and we use the PMI to pay off the mortgage.
Right. That's what that PMI stands for, private mortgage insurance. It's where the bank has you buy an insurance policy, even though you say you're going to pay them back. If you don't pay them back, they can cash that insurance policy in to get back the money for maybe the 6 or 7 months of payments you didn't pay them. And then if they sell the house and they lose money, maybe you borrowed $300 and they sold it for $200. Well, they can get that money that they lost back through that insurance policy that you were paying for. Now, why do you have to get that insurance? Because a lot of cases, without that insurance, maybe they wouldn't loan you the money in the first place.
I was going to say that. When they would say, oh, you're only putting 3.5% down versus this guy over here is putting 25% down. Guess what? He doesn't have to get the PMI.
Right, good point.
Now, I want to bring this up because some people may say, oh, my uncle who bought a house in 1983, he's helping me buy a house now in 2024. He didn't need no PMI. What's his PMI? Is it a scam? No, things have changed. I'll say these loans are more secure. When it comes to FHA, you have the PMI, which covers the bank. So give us a call. I'll say, don't call your uncle, call us. We're seeing this every day. We got the modern products, and definitely.
When my son says give us a call, like I said, we're not credit counselors.
We're not financial advisors.
But we can refer you to people that are, and that's what they do, and that's what they get paid for. And guess what? They don't charge you.
Oh, yes.
It's free. There's HUD certified nonprofit agencies such as B&T. That's one.
Yep.
They have counselors that will teach you budgeting, how to improve your credit, and they don't charge you for that.
How about this? They even have a landlord class you could take.
Oh yeah, how about that one? Landlord. You say, well, landlord class. Yeah, landlords need classes too.
If you're going to be a landlord, remember, you have to have a degree in psychology because you're working with people. It's not just as simple as where's the rent at. Trust me, we know.
You don't know how many people that buy a
Multifamily
multifamily house know the first thing about managing a multifamily house. Know the first thing, never had to ask anyone to move their car out of a driveway.
Tenants' rights.
Never had to worry about putting a garbage can out. Never had to worry about how to approach a tenant nicely and say, the children upstairs are making a lot of noise. Can you quieten it down a little? And you do that in a regular apartment and you get cussed out and they run you back down the stairs.
You got no smoking policy, and every time you go to visit your property, you smell smoke. So, yeah, a lot of
what
things.
do you do? What are your rights? What can you legally do and what can't you do? You just can't go. Remember, as a landlord, once you sign that lease and once you give them that keys, then they close that door. That's their sanctuary. That's not their property. They don't own it. But you have now given them rights that they have that you cannot violate as a landlord legally. You cannot just barge into the house and sit down and drag everybody to the table and say, this is my way or no way. You can't do that. Can't do that. Nope.
There's tenants' rights and a lot of tenant rights, I'll say.
You always hear a landlord saying, oh, the rights are all in favor of the tenant. Well, that's 50-50. As long as everybody gets along and as everybody does what they're supposed to, you don't have any problems. But just realize, if you are going to be a landlord, it's not, if you're let's say a bully, if you're the type of person where
I'll say if you don't have patience with people.
Gotta have patience.
You gotta have patience with people, definitely. Especially in this economy. I'll say everyone wants to buy a multifamily because it looks good on paper. First floor is paying you this, second floor is paying you that. You live on the third floor. But what happens when that person loses their job on the first floor? Who's paying the mortgage that month? Are you going to come out of your pocket? So you got to, factor these things in.
Things happen that are beyond your control that you don't realize that, you can't go in there and just dictate. You can dictate, but that doesn't mean it's going to formalize itself into real money. You need money to pay the bills. Like my son said, the tenant on the second floor loses their job.
Yep.
The wife gets pregnant, the wife's having a baby, she's out of work. Now you're looking for that, and the landlords, in many cases, charge such rents that sometimes it's, how can I say it, they go a little bit overboard in some cases. And you might say, okay, you get that rent for 1 or 2 or 3 months. But when I price a rent, it's what are they making? What is their income? And is it sustainable for that next year?
Exactly.
Because you got a year's lease. So look at it this way. Would you rather have a tenant paying $1,700 or $1,600 a month for the next 10 years? Or would you rather charge them $2,300 and hope that you can get it for 1 year?
How about that?
Now, they make it to the 10th month, and they're like, oh, this is tough. I can't afford this. And they give you a notice, well, we're going to be moving. So now, instead of getting $1,700 or what it is, it's sort of average.
Yeah, vacancies.
You now charge $500 a month more. But now you got a vacancy for 3 months. So you take $2,300 times 3 months. That comes out to what, $6,000, almost $7,000 that you don't have coming in.
Exactly.
So what's better, to have a realistic rent and have the people stay for a long time, or a high rent and have them stay for one year?
Yep.
And it averages out that even if you got the higher rent, you still right back to the lower rent because you had the place vacant. And when you have it vacant, you might have to go in and make some repairs. You might have to paint it over. So maybe you got to put out $1,000 or more just to bring it back up to snuff.
Exactly.
And then you got to advertise.
It's
your time.
Also,
interviewing people.
I was going to say also, remember, there's a point with the landlords, when you increase your rent so much, I'll say people that are making that much money and making that much rent, they're pretty smart, I would say, to be making that much money. They're going to say, why not just buy a house? They'll watch our episode and say, why am I paying rent? So remember, when you're raising rents, you got to think about not only what am I raising it to, can the area support it? And if someone's making that much money, would they want to live in these conditions or this area?
You just brought up something. Many people out there, you may ride around, you may see signs that I have out the signs say, why rent?
Why rent?
Why rent when you can own your own house? Because if a landlord is charging $2,300 a month, $2,000 a month, and I speak to that person who's the renter, I'm going to say, why are you continuing to pay rent when you should own your own house?
If they say the interest rates are too high, well, if you're paying rent, you're paying 100% interest. You're not getting any of that back.
Look at all the money, paying rent, and the rent going up is a whole lot higher than the rent interest rate going up on a mortgage, because at least when you get that mortgage, it's a fixed rate. That means that no matter what, for those period of years, it's not going any higher. Taxes may go up slightly. If even then, taxes can go down even.
Very true.
But you're at least your principal and the interest and your mortgage payment is basically going to be staying the same. On top of that, later on, you could sell. What if you bought a house 5 years ago?
How about this?
You could sell it now for about 40% more than what you paid for it. So if you bought a house 5 years ago for $250,000, now you could sell it for $350,000.
Oh yeah, the equity.
So look at the money you're going to make.
I would say in the last 3 years, of course, COVID helped, but real estate has a tendency of appreciating. So think about it. If you're renting that same apartment, I get calls from people who have been living in the same apartment since 1998. That's 25 years ago. So think about it. If you're going to be living in one place for that long, you might as well own the place and get that appreciation over the years.
Now, when you say COVID helped, what you mean basically is a lot of people that were renting decided to buy a house. And when they decided to buy a house, supply and demand, everybody coming in, not a lot of houses for sale, pushed the price of the houses higher. And still we're in that situation right now. Because also a lot of people, a lot of the developers didn't build anything.
No.
So we're sitting on a shortage of real estate right now, which segues into another subject. If you are a landlord out there, and if you're looking to downsize, if you're looking to move to another part of the country, if you're looking to, relocate back to your country, maybe some people want to. The guy just sold a house and moved back to Puerto Rico, right?
We get that a lot because right now people don't realize how much these houses have gone up. You may realize, I bought the house in 2000, as soon as 2017. Trust, you have some equity in there. Give us a call. We'll do a free CMA for you.
Right, and a lot of people out there, if you're looking to sell that house, give us a call. We'll come out, we'll look at it, we'll tell you what it's worth in today's dollars, because you'd be surprised at how much the house can sell for. We can sell that house, and then you can, buy something smaller, maybe get a condo, maybe the kids are not there in the house. So give us a call, and if you're buying, remember there's a program where you can get up to $25,000 or $50,000.
Time to own.
That you do not have to pay back if you agree to stay in the house.
Exactly. It's free, forgivable money.
Money that can help you. So you don't have to have that excuse, we don't have enough money to buy the house. We can help you, okay?
Exactly.
So hopefully we gave you some information today. Get that credit, save that
Give us a
money,
call.
pay off those bills. Till next week, God bless.
Amen.